Hey guys, it's Average and welcome back to the channel, and today we take a look at a brand new aircraft for both 2020 and 2024. It's the Pasped Skylark by Lionheart Creations. Now Lionheart's made some very cool aircraft with plenty of variations, and that's a car's wheel, so we'll click off this for the meanwhile. We're in 2024 for our test, but this aircraft's available for both. Now, I believe that it is, whilst not native per se, it does appear to be fairly compatible with 2024 because it's laid out in the actual file structure like 2020 is. However, it has got some clickable things. There are no chocks, there are no tie downs, there are no plugs or pitot covers to select on and off, but for some reason I can do the canopy from the exterior, which is quite strange. But what's this aircraft, this vehicle? It's a 1930s American two-seat single-engine cabin-equipped monoplane designed and built by the Pasped Aircraft Company of Glendale, California. Now, it's a braced low-wing monoplane with a fixed tail gear, and we've got this huge here wheel pants for the wheels, so very fast for its type and time. 125 horsepower Warner Scarab radial engine, side-by-side seating for two in there, and it was still airworthy in 2010, not sure about currently, but it was still doing the air show scenes, and it could do 121 knots, cruise about 109, and she could get up to, well, in miles an hour, she was 140 there, at 125, and its minimum control speed was about 35 miles an hour, 30 knots, so quite low there actually. Range about 413 nautical miles. It's not particularly fast, not particularly clever, but it was originally possibly a trainer. It was designed to potentially be, and also a two-seat business liner. These were gaining, of course, interest in that sort of time period. It never really took off, and one was only really built, so it really wasn't offering much in a field where we started to see the Stagger Wings, of course. We started to see other Beechcraft aircraft come along. We saw Cessna and the business liner. We just saw aircraft around this period that were just not quite the same. And it was not quite offering as much. And of course, the war came along. I was wrong on the business liner before anyone tells me anything that I'm insane or wrong. I know I'm wrong. The 190, 195, the business liner was 1947. So I was incorrect there. But this is by Lionheart. So what do we get included? We get a wheeled variant. We get a float/amphib variant. We'll take a look at both of those today. Now, the aircraft has multiple different variations in terms of livery and appearance. Colour schemes for the interior and exterior. I'll show you some of those now. And she's, of course, got plenty of options to offer you anything you're interested in. There's also a really cool extra feature we're going to take a look at now. So we'll hop on board really quickly. I'm going to quickly go downside here to the cover mode, the battery door, and the fuel truck. And we're going to go back outside. So we have the battery door open here, we have the fuel hose, we've got the covers on the top of the aircraft, chocks in place, and this monstrosity, these existed. Very cool, is it not? And it's the Doodlebug fuel truck, which is an advanced design project by Texaco, and this existed in the 30s, designed to be able to go into the wings of the big four-engined airliners, things like your DC-4s. Yeah, it looks like something from science fiction. I wish we could drive this into sim. That's one of the things I'd love to be able to do. Now, about 6 to 12 of them were made, and about 6 feet tall. And they were barely quite a sight to be seen. But these are real. Very wild, is it not? The things they did in the 1930s were crazy. Now, of course, this is going to change livery with the livery of the aircraft, so that's quite cool to see as well. And it's nice to see this original model. This first came out in 2004 for the sim. So it's seen a huge amount of change through Lionheart's works. Of course, we've had the Quickie, the Booker BU-131, the Trinidad, the Leofan, and now the Skylark. So it's great to see that as well. Skylark, yes, that's the right word I was looking for there. We're going to go take a look inside and give it a bit of a fly now and see what she's like. So we'll make sure we take the fuel truck off. Take all these other items away from us we need to get rid of. So here's our parking brake, by the way. Canopy up there. Doors to be opened here. Look at the filigree and the design around that latch. That's a beautiful detail to model into the aircraft, I will say. Oh, don't need that open. There we go. Some glitches sometimes with that door there, but it works otherwise fine. This one's okay. Also, stuff on our shelf here. Nice to have some bits and bobs in there. Close that with the... Yeah, I get a bit of a glitch with 24. It might just be a 24 thing where I have to click it once or twice. There we go. And it closes. Want to use some modern technology? Pop the glove box open in here. We have a Navcom radio and a transponder. So, everything you could possibly want in there to give you your modern conveniences. Starting the aircraft. Make sure it's selected to main. Parking brake is on. Mixture in. Let's make sure battery's on. Throttle about 1/8 of an inch in. Make sure our fuel boost pump is on. About 3 pumps of the primer. And we shall go for the start with our... I think that's my starter. Interesting, the push starter doesn't work, but when I actually do the starter with my starter on my hardware, she starts. Alright, we'll pull this closed. Now we do have working things like rain effects, by the way. Open the weather there. So canopy rain effects are a thing. And if you're wondering why they're streaming backwards on the ground like this, they are engine based, so when it's off, they just spot and they putter, but when we turn it on again, they go backwards. MSFS rain effects. Pick the throttle up and you'll see them start streaming. So all that stuff functions, which is quite nice. Let's go back to daytime just to make our life a little bit easier, shall we? Right. Parking brake released. Oh, we're still in start mode there. We'll turn that back to that. Now, let's go take it for a bit of a spin around. We'll just do a quick circuit around here, give you guys an impression of the aircraft. Now, this I acquired from Sim Market for the grand total of €15. So a pretty reasonably low price there. Ground handling is interesting, but she's got a very big nose, so that'd be expected. But she's tame enough. The sounds are quite cool as well. Definitely unique sounds. Very green tint to the light on the canopy there for glass. Okay. Let's get ready to rumble, shall we? Okay. Well, that's more me giving it too much rudder. Now, she's not got so much power that she's crazy. We're talking 125 horsepower here. And certainly not a radial engine that took off particularly. Now, I will say the instruments are a little dim in this particular cockpit. It's my only complaint in 2024. It could be a lighting issue compared to 2020. So it's a pretty gentle aeroplane here. We'll just do a quick circuit around. And then we'll take a look at the amphibian. I don't think we get a difference in sound. So honestly, I'd probably fly this around with the lid open. There's just something about being open top in an aeroplane that feels rather nice. The canopy makes you feel a little bit oppressive there. So we'll pop the top. Fly it like an open top sports car. But the engine sounds another nice chug. It's a very cheap price. Lots of different skins and versions and internal colour schemes. We'll see another one of those once we get down. Handling is benign and gentle. She'll roll, but she's sluggish for it too. Nothing particularly dramatic there. Right, we'll bring her around here for a landing approach. Again, don't want to waste too much time on back and forth, so we'll pull the power out here. Airspeed's coming down to about 100. Cut the power out. She's definitely going to glide fairly well, being a light, streamlined aircraft. Onto base. 80. I'm guessing that's miles an hour down there. Yeah, miles an hour. So keep our eyes on that. Little juice just to come around the corner. It's very low stall speed, so we should be more than capable of flying it. We'll leave this idled out for now. We'll keep her at this kind of tilt here, just to keep our eye on the runway. I can't do that, it doesn't want to, so we'll let her kind of drift back over this way. So I was going to try and keep it kind of crabbed, so I could see my approach better, but I'm going to have to just fly it out the side of the engine here. Little quick here, it's not losing speed very well. So I'll have to bleed this off as we touch down. There we go. Let's hold it off a little bit. Nudge her over to the runway properly. Oh, little bounce, little bounce. Oh god. Significant bounce. I'm definitely landing quite fast here, which is down. Visibility is very difficult. But we are in fact down, I think. We are down. Excellent. Right. Sounds externally are much nicer than internal, I will say. She sounds much throatier outside, I think, compared to the inside. And I landed very quick. That's definitely something I need to compensate for because it's very, very slippery. So you want to lose that airspeed very early on in your landing approach rather than towards the end, because otherwise it doesn't want to go anywhere. Let's go take a look at the float version. So here we are with the amphib, and as you can see, amphib / straight floats, these wheels fully retract inside the pontoons and close off. So you get that ability to have it look like both, even though it's technically amphibious, which is a nice feature to include. Of course, the real one never had this, but it is quite cool to see it with it. So let's hop up in the cockpit and take a look, shall we? Oh, I was in third person, that would be why. So as you can see here, the yellow cockpit is quite nice, and I've got my head tracking and we'll turn that off. Definitely quite visually striking. Okay, so the only real difference we've got here, of course, is our water rudder as a factor as well. Not sure where that's located. Oh, there it is. That's our water rudder. As you got there. On the back of our floats. See? Whoop. Whoop. Easy. So, let's get ourselves going, shall we? And of course, the landing gear now does something. So to remind you, it's mixture in. We're on the right fuel setting there. So throttle in. Max to both. Give it a bit of a nudge on the primer. And the starter doesn't work still in 2024. Interesting. But it does there. So let's put this in and we'll get ourselves taxiing. Now visibility much easier, of course, because the nose is down. That makes a big improvement for us. My head track and get it a bit in. Way! That was me going too fast. That's okay. My fault. I like the sounds. Somehow the amphib version's interior sounds sound nicer. I could be crazy. Okay. Speed's good and we are able to lift away. Nice and quick and easy. So, speaking of those floats, let's take a look down here. And you'll see the little door opens up in the float front. And they retract up in there, and those close up and seal fully. And they close up there. So you could basically pretend this is a straight float plane if you wanted to, which would be more era appropriate and weight appropriate. So we'll fly to the lake just behind us, the inlet, so it'll calmer water. And we'll make an approach. Of course, one thing you've not noticed me doing at all in this is flaps, because do we have any? No. Look. Big wibble wobble. See, nothing there to drop. You can lower the flaps. Oh, we have actually got a flap. We've got a big barn door right there, which has approximately, well, 2 settings. 3 settings. Did I notice a flap lever in there? Is this flaps? It's tail hook. Interesting, I don't see a flap lever. That's the weirdest part of this. Oh no, flap lever. I'm an idiot. It's just a switch. Yeah, switch. Toggle switch. Fantastic. Okay, so we'll bring her down now. So our landing last time was without flaps, which I assumed didn't have any because I'm an idiot. I hadn't looked. But quite easy to miss if you're not looking for it, and a lot of aircraft of this vintage didn't have flaps, so wouldn't be surprising. Bleed off some of this speed here. There's 2 notches flap there. Now, seaplanes and float planes can often have some intricacies with 2020 and 2024, so we'll see how this one behaves. Looking good here. We'll make our U-turn, then we'll make our approach to land. Airspeed's about 80 miles an hour, so that's fine. In fact, you know what? We'll use the flaps to burn some speed, shall we? Look at that dropping off like a rock. Perfect. Notch it 1 up. Water rudder is retracted. Confirm. Drop her down. Nice and easy. Very gentle. Okay, a little bit of a hop there. Okay, a little bit of skipping. Not bad. Surprisingly gentle. She certainly looks good as a seaplane, I'll give it that. Not bad at all. Let's go for a takeoff and we'll see how she is. We'll bring her back to land. Water rudders are confirmed up. Gears confirmed up as well. Build speed, just a little bit of skip and a hop. Oh, and she peels straight off. Not actually that bad. I've seen way skippier aircraft that have behaved more weirdly. This one is not that strange. Being quite vintage, of course, it lacks things like lights to tell you, or gauges to inform you of the position of things. Lots of earlier aircraft had a positional indicator showing position of gear and position of flaps, etc. This lacks all of that. Some aircraft, of course, then had indicators like pop-ups in the windows or the wings, even, that would do the same thing. So my gear is going down, but I have no way of knowing it's down or confirming it's down. Obviously not a real version, so it wouldn't have had a gear light. So that's a consideration. The real one had fixed gear, and as such, this wasn't a problem. Okay, looking good there. Now, this should be an easier approach with the nose down altitude. I will say, it's a bit like flying a old speedboat. It has that kind of squat, wide profile. It gives me that speedboat vibe to it. Like a motor yacht, motor launch, even. It has that motor launch feel to it. Especially if we pop the lid. I feel like I'm in an old Italian motor launch. Go for that big barn door flap here, see if we can burn some speed off for a nicer landing. Okay. Probably don't want to keep that thing out. It's going to eat way too much speed, so a little bit of power here just to counteract that. Drift across to the left. Let her settle down. She's dropping much nicer now. Definitely tends to the right of where I want to fly. There we go. It tends to the right. Maybe that's because the position feels so far to the left in terms of the cockpit. There we go. And a quick, speedy exit from the runway. And we are perfect. So for £15, or 15 euros in this case, I think you get a pretty decent option. You get wheels, you get amphib floats, which can cosplay as straight floats if you want to. A vintage cool aircraft that's definitely on the unique side of things. It's got a radio and transponder, but it's got nothing else. Obviously, the aircraft of this era would not have GPS. Use a map like a normal person. It's got interesting and quite nice sounds. And it is certainly unique to fly. So I think it gives us something a bit more enjoyable to flop around in the skies. And I have to say, visually, quite nice. Do like it. And it's unique in the world of Cessnas and Pipers, so my opinion is, take a crack at it. It's certainly cheap enough, and Lionheart is a great developer. He's a very pleasant person to deal with, from what I've seen in the past. And, yeah. Gets the Avengers seal of approval. Bye.